What's going on, people? Kozak here with Kozak Outdoors, and today we're just going to do a quick little intro of my boat. Some of you may have noticed that I have not been uploading much recently, and that's mainly because I sold my kayak about a month and a half ago and purchased a used 2006 Nitro 591 with a 150 Mercury Optimax. Engine has around 300-ish hours, which for 2006 is considerably low. Engine starts right up. However, I've had some issues with the boat as a whole, as is common with pretty much any used boat and even some new boats. Anybody out there looking to purchase a boat, just get ready to keep dumping money into it. So we're gonna go through the boat, how I have it set up right now, and some of the upgrades that I've done. So at the front of the boat and at the console, I have Lowrance Elite Ti 2 and the 9-inch size screen. So Elite 9 Ti 2, I guess would be the full name. It's got everything except for the active imaging or whatever that, like the 360 and the active stuff. It's got structure scan, down imaging, your standard scan, and charts. So that's what it has. Big transducer. It's the big 3-in-1 transducer. Big transducer, had to install this with the whole separate mount. Had to purchase that off Tackle Warehouse. It's called a deucer dolly, and if you don't get this separate mount here, you can't attach this big old puppy to the actual trolling motor head. Trolling motor's a Fortrex, 80-pound, 24-volt. Nothing crazy, but still a great workhorse. If I was to get a new boat, then I would try to get an Ultrex with it, or one of the new Garmin trolling motors. You know, something that has like spot lock or something like that. That definitely helps. But this is a used boat. I'm looking to probably get about 1 year to 2 years out of it before it goes to a new home. That's the plan anyways. We'll see what happens. As you can see, the carpet, I redid all of this carpeting myself. It was a horrendous time. It was not fun. It was not fun. I purposely did the rod lockers a little bit of a different shade of gray. I think it kind of accents the boat, makes it look a little bit nicer than it would have if everything was just straight gray. When I got the boat, the carpet was pretty much down to the fiberglass, and I went fishing with it one time like that just to make sure that everything ran properly before I invested all the time into redoing the carpet. It took me about 2 weeks to redo all the carpet. There's a lot of videos out there on how to do it. I didn't really take many pictures. It was just kind of a grind. It was bad. Scraping all of the old glue off and trying to cut out templates for the new pieces of carpet. This whole front deck, all of that light gray is all one big weird shape, so I had to try to get that going all together. And then I went through and did all of the individual little hatches. That took a while as well. Not as bad because most of them are square, but the rod lockers once again are a strange shape. So having to cut out those shapes and get the corners looking nice. It's got some blemishes, but I think overall, for being my first time ever doing it and saving myself probably $1,500 to $2,000 if I had taken it to a marina to have it done, it was worth it. But would I ever want to do it again? No, not in a million years. There is a HDS5 here. It's a Gen 1, I believe, because again, it's a 2006 boat, so it's whatever was in here. Yeah, that looks like a Gen 1 HDS5. Technically, it still works. I had kept the transducer still on the back for that. So that's the transducer for that. So that's still hooked up and it works. And then I had to install the Elite transducer back here as well. My boat's kind of muddy right now. So that's kind of just a backup. HDS 5 Gen 1 is just kind of a backup if something goes off with the other one, or if that transducer gets ripped off, which hopefully will never happen. The seats that came with this boat, definitely newer than 2006. Very comfy, very nice seats. There's no hut foot. I do miss the last bass boat that I had a hut foot in it, and that was just, I don't know, I just prefer that over the throttle, the standard throttle. But I'm not gonna bother putting one into this boat. It's not a, you know, it's an entry level bass boat. It's kind of like it's a higher end entry level bass boat. So it's almost like a mid-tier bass boat, but it's like in between mid-tier and entry level. Like an entry level, I usually think of like a 16 footer. This one's 18 and a half feet long. It is on the heavier side, which it's a Nitro, so that's kind of par for the course for them. But the front deck, I love the front decks on these Nitros, especially the brand new, like the newer Nitros are just like perfect. But even these older ones, the front deck there's so much space up here, so much space for activities. So let's hop up inside of this puppy. 2 standard live wells. There's actually standing water in these live wells. So I'm gonna pop that plug right now before I forget and before it starts stinking. There that goes. She's draining, I can hear her draining. All right, so two standard size live wells. And then back here, I've got a storage. None of these latches were here before. I had to install all these latches myself. Everything that was kind of flush mounted like this had I don't know what this would be called, just a loop of fabric, and I didn't like that. I didn't like what it looked like, so I installed these latches myself. I know, very impressive. In here, extra shirt in case I pit myself out and I smell like shit. There's an extra shirt right there. And then I've got this whole thing is not extra tackle, but I've got some terminal tackle in these 2 boxes. And then like chatter baits, all of my hard baits, so shallow jerk baits, medium divers, and deep cranks, spoons, some like random tubes and frogs and stuff like that. So pretty much everything that's not a soft plastic is back here. On this side, I've got kind of all extra equipment and whatnot. So extra oil, a little Craftsman set in there, jumper cables, just your run-of-the-mill stuff that you should always put in a boat whenever you're going out so you can fix stuff on the water. Up here we got a nice little trash can. I like this. The last boat I had didn't have this, and I used to bring like a plastic bag and have to put my trash in it and then remember to take it out. But this is nice. If it fills up at the end of the day, you just take out the whole little thing, dump it in your trash can at home, and it's good to go. I've been trying to make sure that I throw my broken plastics or my broken soft plastics in there as well, because I have a tendency to just kind of, as I'm fishing, I just take them and I just like toss them in the boat, and then a week later I have a pile of junk soft plastics in the boat taking up space. So next to the trash can is a little cooler here. It's empty right now, just my sunscreen. Always wear sunscreen. Next up in this big middle compartment. This is the only middle compartment up front here. Some of the newer Nitros and slightly larger boats will have like 2 compartments here, and the pedestal will be moved up a little bit usually. So in my one compartment, this is all of my soft plastics. I primarily throw soft plastics, especially. I can't speak after a day of fishing. I've been out all day in the sun. I especially throw soft plastics up here in New England over like crankbaits and everything else that you saw in that back compartment. So this is where I grab. This is where I am most of the day, is grabbing from here. I'm sure there's better ways to organize, but this is what I have going right now. Each bag in here is organized by kind of like plastic type. So drop shot baits, regular size worms, giant worms, creature baits, craws, beavers, punching baits, stick baits, everything's kind of nice and organized. And it just makes it easier to go in here. If everything was just dumped in here, you're never gonna find what you need at in a reasonable amount of time. I've also got a little mini spinnerbait box up here. I don't throw many spinnerbaits, so that's all I carry is like 6 at a time. Some Alabama rigs, probably not going to toss those around here too much. Hooks, extra hooks, some weights, some Ned rig heads. And then I just have a little box right here. This is the main hooks that I use throughout the day. So I've got my drop shot hooks, my 2-aught and my 4-aught Gamakatsu EWGs, and maybe like some wacky rig hooks and stuff like that in there as well. But just kind of the main hooks. I've got more, I got spares up here, and then I'll show you the other spares in a second as well. Some scissors, some pliers. That's pretty much it in there. So in this locker right here, this is technically there's technically 2 rod lockers in every bass boat, but almost everybody that I know of only uses the passenger side locker as their like rod locker, and the other one becomes storage. So this is the storage locker. Life jacket with a kill switch. Make sure you always have a kill switch whenever you are out boating with a gas motor. I had a friend of mine hit a wave the wrong way in his bass boat, and he was ejected from his boat. Didn't have the kill switch, or the kill switch failed or something, I don't know, but he ended up getting ejected, and the boat actually remained on and was actively doing circles. So it becomes a huge hazard, not only for him being ejected, but other people out on the lake. Imagine being in the water with a life jacket on out in the middle of a lake, and there's a boat that's out of control but still has a propeller spinning actively, and you're kind of just floating out there like a bobber, hoping that this thing doesn't hit you. And you're really just praying, because as the boat hits waves, it can completely change course and trajectory. So it's nothing to joke about. Make sure you get a kill switch and use that kill switch whenever that engine is running. Also in here, New Hampshire and Massachusetts require you have a throw cushion that is Coast Guard approved. So I've got those in here, an extra bright orange life jacket for when I have like my dad with me. You have to have you have to have one life jacket per person on top of the throw cushion. So just make sure you're following all of the rules. I've been pulled over by Marine Patrol before, and they've gone through, and if you are missing something, you will get a citation. And it's nothing to joke about. Like they will cite you, and they are not lenient. With that being said, air horn is also required, or a horn of some type, a working horn of some type, or like a sound device of some type. Most boats, the horn tends to work for like a year and then it breaks. So this is just a good little cheap investment right here to cover that. I've got an extra baitcaster and spinning combo in here as well. That's for my father to use. I've got a bunch of extra swim baits because I don't know, it just like they're big swim, or they're larger size paddle tails that I was using for striper fishing in the kayak, and now I'm going to eventually throw them for bass once I find a pond that has bass bigger than 2 pounds. I don't throw them every day, so they're not in my main storage. They're kind of just chilling in here. Paddle, this is a collapsible one. Good for if your engine fails and your trolling motor fails, so make sure you always have a paddle as well. You don't want to get caught without it. Some extra like shaky head and swim bait heads, and some extra terminal tackle in here. This was like my original terminal tackle box from when I was a kid, and it's on its last day, or last days. It's got cracks in the box and everything, but It's got Carolina rig weights in there and some Texas rig weights and a few drop shot weights. So I'm kind of pulling from there. I'm pulling from that box as I can, and when it finally empties out, I will toss that box and get organized a bit more. I've also got some line in here. It's good to keep spare line in your boat in case you get a real bad backlash, and also just for using a leader. So I always keep line in my boat. Also have an extra reel as well in here. You never know when something's gonna break. So if you've got spare stuff, you might as well put it in your boat, because chances are something's gonna happen at some point in time and you can use it. I think that covers everything in there. Toilet paper, bring toilet paper with you. You never know when nature's gonna call, and sometimes there's not a bathroom available. So again, better be safe than sorry. And we're almost done. Let's head on over here. Once again, these were not here before. There was actually I don't think there was any handle up here. It was just you grab from here, which is all right, but I think the white I think the white kind of accents this darker gray a little bit better, and it helps open it. Rod locker. So I've got I think I have like 16. I counted the other day. I think I have 16 rods in here. Honestly, pretty spacious for like an 18-foot boat. I could probably fit another 10. If there's 16 in there, I could probably fit another 10. 8 to 10 probably. I don't have any need for that many rods. Honestly, this isn't too many. There's like one rod in there. There's 2 rods in there that I really don't, I probably won't throw. The kind of just, again, backup rods in case something breaks. But aside from that, everything else, I mean, I cycle through. I have 4 spinning combos. Yeah, I have 4 spinning combos, and the rest are all bait casters. I was in, I don't think I've mentioned this. I may have mentioned this on this channel, but prior to living in Virginia, which is where this channel started, prior to that, I lived in North Carolina, which is where I had my last bass boat. And down there, it's pretty much like you're gonna have 1 or 2 spinning rods at most, and everything else is just bait casters, because you're fishing timber, you're fishing heavy cover, and you really need the bait casters for pulling the fish out of that stuff. So I had to grab a couple more spinning combos now that I'm up in New England, because this is kind of primarily the opposite. You're fishing kind of more open water, so it's good to have like a good mix up here, good mix of spinning and bait casting. Aside from that, I think that's it. I did a little bit of fiberglass repair on the bottom of the boat. I'm not gonna crawl under there to show you though. Basically, you can buy a cheap little fiberglass repair kit. There was a few nicks and scuffs that were a bit concerning. I didn't want any water coming in, so I did it myself. I just patched it up and then sanded it, and then painted over it with a marine epoxy paint. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. Nothing like super fancy here, but it's just a good overall all-around boat. So far, the issues that I've had, the batteries were old, they had to be replaced, so I ended up going with lithium batteries. I'm still having some sort of electrical issue where the cranking battery likes to just die for no reason, so I got to work on that, which is what I'm about to do after I end this video. Other issues I had besides the fiberglass repair, and the carpet. So the carpet, the fiberglass, the batteries, the trailer tires, I thought they were in great condition, but the boat had been sitting for about 1.5 years ish since it had been used last. And whenever I looked at it, I wasn't sitting there rolling the tires around and checking every inch of them, but apparently the bottom of the tires were dry rotted where I couldn't see. The top looked good, so I didn't really notice it. And then we were on the road, me and my dad were headed to the lake, and the tire blew out. And that was It's not the first time it's happened to me. I've had it happen before from dry rot, so you know, it wasn't a panic situation, but just a pain in the ass. And there was no spare, so I had to go buy new tires and put 2 new tires on. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. It's getting there. So once I get the electrical figured out, it's gonna be perfect. And yeah, look forward to videos coming in the future. Fishing 1 to 2 times per week in this boat, and so far I've gone out 9 times in it, I think, and I've yet to be skunked. So I'm on a bit of a heater right now. Bit of a heater. Even the first time I took it out, which was just to test the engine, I ended up catching 3 fish just in like, I don't know, 45 minutes at a lake that usually I don't catch good numbers at. So it's been a good year for fishing. I think it's been so windy, it's keeping a lot of the people at home and leaving all the fish for me. Because I don't mind fishing in the wind if I have a boat like this. If I'm in a kayak, it's not happening. But in a boat that's heavy like this, and with a trolling motor and everything, I actually enjoy fishing in that kind of windy water versus the slack water where it's just completely dead calm. Anyways, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, more videos on the way, some big announcements coming as well. I'm Kozak, and I'm out.